Cutting together a film trailer is a very difficult job. Essentially, you need to cut down an entire film into a 1 or 2 minute trailer that encourages viewers to see it. However, executing the perfect teaser is extra difficult when the genre is horror. So what do most horror trailers do? They show everything. Every jump scare is revealed, every gory scene is on full display, every twist is spoiled, and sometimes even the ending is ruined. I'm Jess from What Culture, and here are 10 horror movie trailers that gave away the entire plot. Number 10. What Lies Beneath. In Robert Zemeckis' supernatural thriller What Lies Beneath, Norman and Claire Spencer are a happily married couple until their life is turned upside down after a ghostly encounter. For the first half of the movie, Claire suspects that her neighbor murdered his wife and the spirit is seeking vengeance, although this turns out to be a red herring. In reality, the ghost belongs to a college student called Madison who had an affair with Norman. When Madison was about to make the affair public, Norman murdered her. Now that Claire knows the truth, Norman is forced to kill her too. Because the film spends so much time setting up the neighbor as the killer, the big reveal is made far more shocking. At least it would have been if you hadn't seen the trailer. The teaser makes it so abundantly clear that Norman is the murderer, it doesn't even feel like it's meant to be a plot twist. In fact, most of the promos don't even mention the neighbors. Although the film has a lot of great jump scares and clever misdirection, all of this was pretty much ruined for anybody who saw the trailer. Number 9. Get Out. In Get Out, a black man called Chris is anxious about meeting the family of his white girlfriend, Rose Armitage. When he arrives at their family estate, the Armitages appear friendly on the surface, but Chris suspects that they're hiding a terrible secret. Get Out was critically acclaimed, smashed it at the box office, and even snagged an Oscar for Best Original Screenplay, which is a massive rarity in the horror genre. But if you watch the trailer, you'd assume Get Out was horror schlock instead of an unnerving psychological thriller. Not only does the teaser make the film look generic, it gives away way too much. In several shots, we see Rose's father Dean donning a surgical mask and prepping his medical tools while Chris is tied up. Although the viewer couldn't guess what sort of procedure Dean is going to perform on Chris, it's disappointing the trailer felt like including these clips. Even though first-time viewers might assume that the Armitage family holds ill will towards Chris, you'd still assume that Rose has genuine feelings for him. That is, unless you saw the trailer where she has a rifle trained on his head, so that one's out of the bag. Number 8. Morgan. In Luke Scott's film debut, a bunch of scientists make an artificial human called Morgan from scratch. When her intelligence and abilities grow exponentially, the team worry they won't be able to stop her if she decides to turn against them. The first trailer is a perfect example of how to sell a horror film. The premise is clear, the titular character comes across as intriguing without giving too much away. There is mention of Morgan causing a dangerous incident, but we aren't told or shown the exact details. More importantly, the trailer makes it sound like Morgan is really a force to be reckoned with without actually showing us what she looks like. Unfortunately, the second trailer shows everything the story has to offer, discarding all intrigue and subtlety. We see Morgan's face, causing the character to lose her mystique. The incident which was hinted at in the initial promo was revealed in the second trailer clear as day, and not only does it show Morgan attacking and killing people, it reveals that the character has psychic powers. Unfortunately, if you've seen this preview, you can probably work out everything that's going to happen in the film beat for beat. Number 7. Hereditary. Hereditary begins with Annie dealing with the death of her estranged mother. As she tries to pick up the pieces, she suffers another personal tragedy that turns her entire life upside down. As scary as Ari Aster's film is, Hereditary is far more terrifying if you watch the whole thing not knowing what's coming around every subsequent corner. It's a long movie and the scares are spread out, but each one is totally worth it since this is one of the few horror dramas that takes its time developing the story and characters. Unfortunately, the trailer was cut in a way so the film looks like a jump scare frenzy. On top of that, it showed the most unnerving moments, including one of the main characters being burned to death. You also see Censored smacking their head off the attic door, spoiling one of the most terrifying shots in the entire movie. Fortunately, most of these shots, but not all of them, are at least revealed in jump cuts, so maybe you won't understand what's happening without context. That said, it's still way better to go in cold. Number 6. The Devil's Advocate. In The Devil's Advocate, ruthless lawyer Kevin Lomax wins a seemingly unwinnable case, inspiring the world's biggest law firm to accept him into their ranks. In his new job, he's tutored by the firm head, John Milton, who promises to change Lomac's life for the better. Although he earns more money than he can spend, Lomax becomes wary of Milton's hedonistic lifestyle. Over time, Lomax realizes he has to get away from the law firm before it destroys him body and soul. Even though there are hints Milton is more than he lets on, it's not revealed until the final act that he is the devil himself. But in the trailer, this fact is made unmistakably clear. We see him cursing God, talking about how he's had so many names over the ages, and how he's been around, quote, since the whole thing began. Just to ensure the viewer doesn't misinterpret Milton of being poetic with his words, we see him boiling holy water with his finger. It's a solid film, but if you've seen the trailer, there's no surprises to be seen. Number 5, From Dusk Till Dawn. From Dusk Till Dawn follows a pair of bank robbers who go on the run after one of them kills a bank clerk. To evade the police, the duo take a family hostage and force the father to drive them all across the Mexican border. After passing through, they hide out in a strip club, only to learn the residents are vampires. What makes this discovery all the more mind-blowing is that the first half of the movie plays out like a straight action drama. There's no hint whatsoever the movie's gonna take a supernatural turn, but at the 50-minute mark, vampires pop up and the rest of the movie turns into an undead gore fest. Of course, anybody who caught clips of the movie beforehand knew what was coming. Not only does the teaser show all sorts of vampiric monsters, it spoils the best shots, kills, and one-liners. If you keep your eyes peeled, you can see one shot depicting several characters escaping from the strip club during the day, proving that they survived the night. So not only does the trailer spoil the big surprise, it spoils who makes it out alive. Number 4, Quarantine. Rec was a Spanish found footage horror released in 2007. It was a smash hit, which inspired an American remake only 1 year later called Quarantine. The film follows a TV reporter called Angela and her camera operator getting trapped in a building that's been quarantined by the CDC. After a bit of exploring, they discover the residents have been turned into murderous mutants after being infected by a virus. The trailer shows many shots you'd expect, like Angela being chased and attacked by the infected. The very last shot shows Angela desperately trying to crawl to safety before being dragged into the darkness by one of the creatures. This shot became so iconic it was used for the movie's poster. What people may not have realized upon seeing this shot in the trailer is that it's actually the shot from the very end of the movie. Once Angela is dragged away, that's it. Credits roll. It's completely understandable that a trailer highlights the most exciting moments in a movie to sell tickets, but that's no excuse why the preview for Quarantine spoiled the very last frame. Number 3, Retreat. In Carl Tibbitz's thriller Retreat, Martin and Kate are a couple who's grown distant from one another after suffering a miscarriage. Hoping to rekindle their marriage, the pair journey to an island and settle in a remote cottage. While there, they discover a mysterious man who reveals a terrifying secret that may well change the world forever. On paper, Retreat sounds like it ticks all the right boxes. It has an intriguing premise and a wonderful cast, but if you were thinking about checking the film out, you have to avoid the teaser at all costs. Not only does this movie spoil the ending and the twist, it just spoils the whole thing straight from start to finish. The absolute worst kind of trailer. Retreat's trailer is so good at covering every facet of the story, it feels like it was strategically designed to ruin the movie. If you watch it, congratulations, you've basically seen the whole thing. Retreat isn't great, but if you're curious what happens, check out the preview and save yourself 2 hours. Number 2, Dreamhouse. In Dreamhouse, Will Atherton moves into his new home with his wife and 2 daughters. Everything seems hunky-dory at first, and then Will discovers that a man called Peter Ward supposedly killed his family in the house 5 years prior. Not ideal. Because Ward was recently released from a mental hospital, Will becomes worried that he may return to the house to kill again. When Will visits the institution that Ward stayed at, he discovers a horrifying truth. He is Peter Ward. Worse still, the family he's been living with is nothing more than a well-constructed delusion that he conjured in his mind. Sadly, plenty of people who saw the film were not as surprised by this revelation because the trailer told them about it. Even though the premise alone was intriguing enough to fill a trailer, the 2.5-minute long teaser spent a good 75 seconds repeatedly telling the viewers about Will's true identity. The trailer doesn't spoil every twist, but a lot of potential viewers were turned off by it, believing the entire film had been ruined for them. Number 1, Carrie. In this Stephen King adaptation, a teenager called Carrie is bullied relentlessly by her overzealously religious mother and mean classmates. As she grows increasingly frustrated, Carrie discovers she can harness her emotions to move objects with her mind. When a popular student, Tommy, invites Carrie to the prom, she believes things are finally starting to look up. However, Carrie doesn't realize Tommy and his colleagues have rigged the ceremony ballot to ensure she's elected the prom queen. When she's on the ceremonial podium to collect her crown, the students drop a bucket of pig blood on her, humiliating the poor girl. This prank causes Carrie to snap, using her telekinetic powers to kill everybody in the room. Of course, whoever cut the trailer together couldn't help but ruin this iconic climax. Not only does the preview show Carrie's murdering everyone at the prom, we also see her use her telekinesis to kill John Travolta's character, crucify her mother, and burn her house down. Just to prove Hollywood never learned anything or just assumed everyone knows the plot to Carrie by now, the 2013 remake spoils everything with its poster and trailer as well.